HOA called 911 to stop me moving into my cabin, but they greeted me instead of arresting me. The moving truck's diesel growl was still rumbling when a police cruiser screeched into Silver Pines Lake, Montana, its lights cutting through the dawn mist like a warning shot. Margaret Hensley, in designer heels, stormed across my inherited cabin's dock, phone pressed to her ear, snarling. "Officer, the veteran trespasser is here." The air was thick with pine needles and exhaust as neighbors gawked from porches. But what would you do if an HOA tyrant tried to steal your family's legacy? Drop a flag emoji and tell me where you're watching from. I know you've got HOA horror stories too. I'm Ethan Caldwell, a 42-year-old retired master sergeant, thinking 22 years of service. Earn me peace in my Uncle Walter's 1965 cabin on Silver Pines Lake, built board by board with his Korean War vet hands. But some battles follow you home. That creaky dock, scented with Old Spice and pipe tobacco, held my childhood summers, learning military knots, hearing war stories, and soaking in Walter's laughter. When he passed last spring, his will left me this sanctuary. Its workshop heavy with sawdust and tackle box must. I planned to fix boats, read books hauled through 3 deployments, and live quietly on my pension. But Silver Pines wasn't the fishing haven. Walter knew. Since 2000, developers dropped $500,000 McMansions, dwarfing modest cabins like ours. Margaret Hensley swept in during 2018, a manicured hurricane in a white Audi, married to Leonard Hensley, a contractor fattened by the housing boom. Elected HOA president in 6 months, she vowed to elevate standards, her vision casting a shadow over my cabin's dusty windows. A week before my move, a gold-embossed letter from the Silver Pines Lake HOA landed like a grenade. $15,000 in mandatory upgrades, new roof, siding, landscaping, dock, windows, for Walter's pristine cabin. I called Margaret. "This is Ethan Caldwell." Her voice was venom cloaked in sweetness. "Mr. Caldwell, your military shack tanks our property values. Try a veteran complex across town." The cabin's hand-hewn beams, lakestone fireplace, and fish-cleaning porch screamed character, not violations. "Fix it in 30 days or face legal action," she snapped. This wasn't about aesthetics. It was a war to erase history for her suburban dream. Margaret picked the wrong vet to fight. 3 days later, a process server from Blackstone and Sons hit me with an emergency injunction and cease and desist, citing aesthetic covenant violations. Their $400 an hour letterhead was thicker than my flak jacket, but 22 years in the military taught me the enemy's first move is loud and desperate. I hit the Madison County Courthouse, its basement reeking of old paper and broken dreams. Walter's 1965 deed showed clean ownership, no covenants, no HOA, which formed in 2003. 38 years later, grandfathered rights trumped Margaret's rules. Then, a bombshell. Leonard's firm scored an $80,000 no-bid HOA contract for road repairs in 2022. Work neighbors swore never happened. Stale coffee soured as I smelled corruption, not just my cabin, at stake. Clerk Edith, older than my service record, grinned. "Find what you need." "More than I bargained for," I said. Photocopying files. Outside, I met Evelyn Porter, 78, wrestling her walker from a rusty Ford. "You're Walter's boy," she declared, her paralegal eyes sharp after 43 years. Margaret's pushing out. "Old-timers for profit. Your deed's ironclad." Her walker tapped like a war drum, offering free legal help tied to Silver Pines' roots. At Walter's table, beside his Purple Heart, a temporary restraining order barred my move-in for 3 weeks, burning my savings on motel bills. A text buzzed, "Messing with big people. Back off." A friend. I'd faced terrorists. This was child's play. I saved it, knowing scared enemies slip. At the Lakeview Motel, no lake, just disinfectant stench. Margaret called an emergency meeting. The Silver Pines Community Center smelled of carpet cleaner and potlucks. Margaret's PowerPoint, protecting our investment, pitched a $25,000 per property security assessment. Treasurer Clifford Morse squirmed like a thief caught red-handed. In my dress uniform, ribbons gleaming, I stood. "I request HOA financial records." Margaret's smile was a blade. "You're not a resident." Evelyn fired back. Property owners have inspection rights. Per Robert's rules. Clifford muttered about system updates. Leonard's security contract screamed fraud. After, Dorothy Lane, Frank Willis, and Clara Holt whispered in the parking lot. Leonard's crews make noise, do nothing. Margaret offered to buy my lot. This was a land grab for vacation rentals. Walter's cabin was their final piece. A motel text taunted. Nice uniform. Won't help when the bank comes. I saved it, grinning. Margaret was cracking. Monday, a county inspector, Gary Thornton, reeking of Leonard's cigar smoke, cited unsafe dock, faulty wiring, and weak foundation, $40,000 to fix. Walter's 2018 rewiring and stormproof pilings mocked the lies. Gary slipped me Leonard's card. Margaret might buy as-is for $50,000. My $180,000 cabin? An insult that burned worse than desert sun. At the VA office, Linda Hayes offered tax exemptions, 0% loans, and historical preservation for Walter's 1965 cabin, blocking forced upgrades. Evelyn called, voice electric. Dorothy found a game changer. Her kitchen, warm with coffee and vindication, held 3 years of HOA records. Leonard's 17 contracts, $300,000 for phantom work like unbuilt roads and fake landscaping. A cassette caught Margaret. Clifford, fudge the books, $10,000 cash. Clifford resisted. That's illegal. Margaret, think of your wife's medical bills. Gravel crunched outside. Gary and Leonard's crew accidentally broke my water line, inflating repair costs. Dorothy's folder held the bombshell, a 1965 charter signed by 12 founders, including Walter, granting perpetual water rights. Leonard's $2 million marina needed my sign-off. They need your cabin to control the shoreline, Evelyn said. A text from Leonard. Be reasonable or bad things happen. Walter's heart attack last spring felt less like nature and more like convenient timing. This wasn't just corruption. It was a potential crime against my family's legacy. Evelyn's kitchen became mission control, joined by Chief Warrant Officer Maria Delgado, my Afghanistan comrade, who drove 3 hours to help. They're running a racket, she said, eyeing. $300,000 in fraud. Our plan hit 4 fronts. Legal complaints to the state attorney general for a forensic audit, VA loans and tax exemptions, a heritage day to rally residents, and trail cameras for proof. Luther Grayson, Walter's fishing buddy, brought photos of Leonard's shoddy work. Code violations galore. Clifford arrived, broken. They're threatening my wife's care. He'd recorded Margaret's bribes for months. Margaret escalated, hiring a PI to smear my mental health, triggering VA evaluations with fake claims of instability. At 2 a.m., glass shattered. Leonard spray-painted military scum on my cabin's hand-blown windows. Maria's cameras caught his face, license plate, and laughter. Teach that soldier boy a lesson. A text taunted, shame about those windows. Dorothy reported, slash tires. Mrs. Ellen Ramsey got threats for supporting me. I called Police Chief Daniel Pierce, whose office, lined with 30 years of commendations, smelled of black coffee and duty. My evidence, recordings, photos, texts, made him scowl. This is RICO territory. Margaret called an emergency meeting to vote me out, citing mental instability. Fake social media posts painted me as an extremist with a military compound. Dorothy stood. Let's hear Clifford's recordings. Margaret's voice echoed. Fudge the books, $10,000. Her face drained as Chief Pierce entered with FBI agent Sarah Mitchell. Racketeering, embezzlement, intimidation, Pierce declared. I held the charter. This blocks Margaret's marina. Clifford confessed. I recorded her threats. Pierce cuffed. Leonard for vandalism, Margaret for fraud. The room erupted in applause. Neighbors' fear turning to relief. Saturday, I woke in Walter's cabin, coffee blending with pine as volunteers fixed my windows. Luther led crews. Dorothy wielded a paintbrush. Leonard got 3 years, $300,000 restitution. Margaret, 5 years, barred from HOAs. The Walter Caldwell Scholarship, funded by recovered funds, sent Maria's daughter to college. Silver Pines' Veterans Fishing Tournament raised thousands, with Pierce's starter quoting Walter. Patience catches more fish than noise. My boat repair shop thrived. Healing combats stress better than any VA pill. The new HOA, transparent with competitive bids, boosted property values 20%. State laws now protect veterans' housing. Inspired by our fight. At Heritage Day, Walter's Purple Heart glowed amid barbecue smoke and laughter. A network battles HOA abuses statewide. Is justice vengeance when it saves a community? Can HOAs serve without turning tyrannical? Share your HOA nightmare. Your story could spark change. Join our fight. Subscribe for more tales of crushing corruption.